Hello, today we are going to talk about inherited medical conditions and codominance. So we are going to understand what do we mean by codominance, and we are going to study two medical examples of inherited medical conditions. So the two examples that we have, albinism and sickle cell anemia. So now we are going to understand what do we mean by albinism and what are the conditions of albinism and sickle cell anemia. So let's start with albinism. Actually, albinism, when people with albinism don't produce the pigment melanin. So if the body does not produce pigment melanin, this person will have albinism. So we have to know what are the function of this pigment. Actually, this pigment has three functions. The first one, this pigment makes skin, and also it makes the iris of the eye, and it makes hair a dark color. So three things this pigment make. Okay, now what about the people which don't produce the pigment melanin? So what will happen if the body does not produce melanin? Actually, we have 5 things will happen inside the body. The first thing, the people have pale skin. So the first affection is pale skin. And also, these people have light hair. So the color of the hair will be light. What about eyes? Actually, the eyes color is pink. Okay, so here the color comes from the blood in the retina. So because we have blood in the retina, so the eyes color is pink. And also, these people are very sensitive to bright light, so they cannot sit in bright light, and their skin burns very easily in sunlight. So they cannot sit in sunlight for a long time because the skin burns very easily in sunlight. Okay, now let's study the patterns of inheritance for the albinism. So here we have parents. Parents they have two heterozygous alleles. Here you have to know that A capital is the normal allele and A small is the mutant albino allele. What do we mean by albino? You have to know that albino here, the person or the animal having a congenital absence of pigment in the skin and hair. So if the person has an absence of pigment in the skin and hair, so he will has a small allele. Okay, now the parents both are heterozygous. Okay, A capital, A small. Here also A capital, A small. Okay, when they give gametes, they will give A capital, A small from the, for example, from the mother, and A capital also A small from the father. Now, this square will give us the probabilities of the offsprings. So gamete A capital and A small from the male, A capital, A small from the female. During the crosses, A capital with A small, that will produce the first offspring. A capital with A capital, the second offspring. A capital, A small, the third offspring. A small, the fourth offspring. Now, what are the genotypes of the first generation? We have actually 4 genotypes, which are A capital, A capital, A capital, A small, A capital, A small, A small, A small. What about the phenotype? What are the features that appear on the offsprings? Now, A capital, you have to know that this offspring has normal skin color. So A capital, this offspring carries normal alleles. So he has normal skin color. And we have two offsprings have normal skin color, but genotype is carrier of albino A allele. So those offsprings carry the A allele. They carry A small, so they carry the A allele. What about the last offspring, A small? A small, actually, this offspring albino pale skin color. So this offspring has the albinism because he has pale skin color. So here we have the ratio, 3 normal skin color and 1 albino pale skin color. This for albinism. So you have to know that albinism is caused by a recessive allele, and the recessive allele here is A small. So when we have A small, only this offspring will have albino pale skin color. By present one A small allele, that means that the offspring carry the albino allele, which is A small. They carry the allele, but they are not having albinism. Okay, now let's go to the second inherited medical example, which is sickle cell anemia. So what do you think? What do you mean by sickle cell anemia? So we always hear anemia. Actually, you have to know that sickle cell anemia is an inherited red blood cell disorder in which there are not enough red blood cells to carry oxygen throughout your body. So, if we don't have enough red blood cells to carry oxygen to your body parts, so here we have sickle cell anemia. Okay, here they wrote something about sickle cell anemia is a condition in which a homozygote has the disease. So let's see how the homozygote has the disease. You have to know that the genotype or the gametes of anemia, HPS for normal allele. So if we have HPS, this person has normal allele, and HPA here, not only A capital A small or S capital A small, no. Here we have HBS for normal allele and HBA for sickle cell allele. Now what will happen if we have two heterozygous parents? Also heterozygous, that means they have both alleles. So HBS normal and HBA sickle cell allele. So this is the first parent, and here we have the second parent. When we produce their gametes, that will be HBS, the first gamete, and the second HBA, the second gamete, and also for the second parent, we have HBS, HBA. So by making the square, here I make the square for you. So the male HBS and HBA, and HBS for female and HBA. So they will produce 4 offsprings. The first one, HBS, HBS. Okay. So the second offspring, HBS, HBA. Third one, HBA, HBA. And the last one, HBS, HBA. So those are the four offsprings in first generation. So HBS, as we say that HBS for normal allele. So the phenotype here is normal. That means this offspring does not have anemia. And here in the middle we have HBS, HBA, to also HBS, HBA. The phenotype here, some symptoms of anemia, in several cases may be very weak. They carry anemia allele, but it's weak. Here we have HbA capital. So the phenotype here, very anemic. That means may well die without medical care. So this offspring need medical care. Without medical care, the offspring may die. Okay, now here we have the effect of a presence of allele HBS in malaria and HbA in anemia. You have to know that the genotype HBS, the offspring will die of malaria. So HBS affect the offspring because it may die of malaria. HbA, some anemia but are resistant to malaria. So here this person will not affect in malaria. Okay, HbA capital, this offspring will die of anemia. Sure, without medical care. Okay, so the last thing in this lesson, we are going to talk about codominance. Now, you have to know what do you mean by codominance. Actually, some genes have more than 2 alleles. They could have 3 alleles, okay? Like ABO blood groups. You know that we have 3 groups of blood, A, B, and O. Here you have to know that the gene of blood is carried by I. So I for A blood type, and I for B blood type, and I for O blood type. So you have to know here we have 2 dominants, which are IA capital and IB capital. So the blood groups IA and IB both are dominant. So we call the blood groups codominant because they have 2 dominants, which are IA capital and IB capital. Here the recessive only IO small. Okay, if we look here, we will find that we have 4 types of groups, which are group A, group B, group AB, and group O. If you look at the genotype, if we have two gametes of A capital, so we are in group A, or 1 gamete of A capital, so also we are in group A. If we have B capital, or 1 gamete of B capital, so we are in group B. And for group AB, we have to have the codominant, which are IA capital and IB capital. What about the last group? Group O, we have to get 2 I with O capital, IO capital. So here the genotype and here the phenotype from which group. Okay, now I'm gonna give you example what will happen if we have 2 parents are homozygous. So we have IA capital. So the male and the female IO and IO. So here we have from A group the parents and the second parent from O group. So the gametes, we have IA capital and IO. So that will produce 4 offsprings, have IA capital, IO small. So here the blood group is A. We can make more than one example. For example, you can make 2 heterozygous. That will also explain the same thing. So codominance, it's very important because we have 2 dominants here, which are IA capital and IB capital alleles. Okay, study this lesson well and good luck.